FNR, Football Nation Radio.
Sirianos, no call! Score!
Salamidi for Cole. Cole on the run. Shoots. 2-0.
Lazanovsky with the free kick. Launches a rocket! Trimboli, what vision! Blasts.
Yes!
That's it!
Miljevic.
Beautiful ball! Here's Bozanic. They might have won it!
The Pioneers with George Donikian and George Kotsanis on FNR, Football Nation Radio.
Mike's up.
George Kotsanis, we're doing a special program paying homage to the original Melbourne derbies, and we've got a couple of guys who knew about them, played in them, and made an impact for either side. Do you want to introduce them?
I do. I want to welcome
Well,
Chris
go on.
Kalifatidis from South Melbourne, Alice.
And what position did he play?
It was a left back, am I fair to say? Left back, right back, centre half?
Yeah.
He could kick anyone out along the back
doesn't
line.
introduce defenders.
Oh, right.
It's either wingers or wingers.
Georgie forced me into that. And now I introduce a forward/winger
Oh, I knew it.
from my old team,
Got this.
Alexander. Andy Bozikas, welcome to both of you, gentlemen. Thank you for being part of the show. Our special Alexander Hallis Derby show, which obviously is in line with the weekend's game coming up,
Huge
the
game
Derby,
coming up,
which
oh,
we'll
yeah.
all be at.
That's
And we've
right.
split the table here in half. As you can tell, it's
Oh,
not
is
good
that why I'm on
radio,
this side here? Yeah,
but
yeah,
everyone
right,
knows that
okay.
the blue half is over that way.
Lick your ass, Bill. That's right, yeah.
And the black and gold is on this side.
Yeah, right.
I just
That's
think
Tiger Country over there, isn't it?
I just think we'll have another win again tonight. I think.
Tonight they will, but what about the weekend? What do you think, Andy? Who do you think's going to win on the weekend?
Derby is always hard to predict.
Did you
geez.
have a favourite one?
Did I have a favourite derby? Not really. They're all
Important.
they're all important to myself and to the players and to the committee especially and
Of course.
and the supporters. I think our supporters. They wanted just to win that game, and if we lost any other game, it didn't really matter.
It was a little known fact with Andy, his first Heidelberg, Alexander Hallis Derby, he was actually in the blue and white.
Get out.
You didn't know that, did you?
No, I didn't. You snuck that one in.
Yeah,
Hey,
1970,
Andy, come over here.
1973.
Back into the second half.
But then he found himself coming over to the away from the dark side to the good side.
So he went
in
to
a
Olympic
sw-
Village, is basically what
Well,
you're
he went
saying.
to Brunswick Street,
Oh, that's the original.
Fitzroy, in a swap over with Ulysses Kokkinos.
Oh, wow.
Did you know that, George?
No, I didn't. I'm finding out so much.
Well, if you
tonight.
listen to this show and you keep listening every Thursday, Georgie, you will learn
I'll
lots
learn
of stuff.
a lot more. By the way, this guy here, Chris Kalifatidis, your first derby?
74.
1974, where? Away or at home?
No, at home at Middle Park. Yeah, and
The great Middle Park.
Yep, and we did win that game 2-1.
See how they
So-
remember the scores,
The
George?
first one's always the best one.
And what was the crowd like?
Oh, it was unbelievable back in those days. You know, like you're looking at between up to 12,000. Middle Park was, yeah. it
Could
was,
you tell they were South Melbourne fans, or could you tell if they were Heidelberg fans?
No, they're all South Melbourne. That's all we heard.
Did many travel to Middle Park? Did you let them in? Did they close the gates? Not let them in?
Couldn't see many yellow and black flags, but no, we wouldn't let them in.
That's
No,
perfect.
there's no way.
Did you know, Andy, that it was always going to be a tough game?
Always.
Did you always know everyone was going to, lift themselves for the challenge, no matter where you stood in the competition?
Yes, always. We knew there was going to be a big game, and having 10 to 12,000 around you as well, that lifts
Yeah.
both sides, I suppose. And it was always tough games. It was always one or two goals in it. So there wasn't any. Was it?
There was a couple of blowouts.
There might have been a couple throughout the seasons, but I remember them well, and it was great to be part of, and it was really exciting times back then. Always to play against the South Melbourne mob.
Tell me about the committee men that ran the clubs in those days. They were bold.
This is going into dangerous territory.
I know. But they were also demanding. They wanted results, did they not?
Well, they did. I think we were offered free petrol for a week. So that's how keen they were.
No, we had bonuses.
Oh,
Every
bonuses.
time. Yes.
Sorry, above the table or below the table?
No, always
Above the table.
So you're talking cash bonuses? Or
Yeah, cash bonuses.
Other incentives? There must have been along the way.
No, well,
Just cash.
Like maybe to some others, but we were always promised a cash bonus. And it was some good money then.
Well, I was going to say, let me remind you, I grew up in Sydney. The derbies in Sydney were amazing. Panhellenic, always Wentworth Park, especially if they were playing against Hakoah, who were the co-tenants.
Yep.
It was brutal, but you always knew that some of the players were going to get an extra lift, because at half-time, committee men would go out with a sheet and they'd go to all the fans, and like you see the tray being passed around at the church during Easter, the sheet would come around and they'd be throwing money in there, yeah, and then they'd wrap it up and it would go straight inside into the dressing room and to be sorted later.
Winners are grinners.
Yes, winners were grinners. So, was there what was your favourite one to each of you, and which was the worst one for each of you?
Well, for me, the worst one was a game that I think we played at Brunswick Street. Was it, Andrew? Was that your first year at Fitzroy? Was it?
75, yes.
75, yeah. When they brought the priest down.
What, to exorcise the demons?
Correct, the blessed, because they couldn't beat South back in the early days. So they brought this priest down. Father John, Athos,
Yanis.
Yes. They brought him down, and they won the game, and they won the next 3-4 in a row. And,
so it worked.
Yeah, that was my worst one. So.
And they won the league in 75. So
yeah, that's right.
Wherever that priest is, let's find him.
Who were your teammates at the time? Give us an idea of the rundown of your team in those days. And we'll do the same thing with Andy.
Yeah. Well, in the late 70s or 70s, there was, Armstrongs, Walkers, Mackay.
So the great Jimmy Armstrong.
Yeah.
What was he like?
Oh, fantastic. Character.
Yeah, always a character.
And, he was always a team player, like he'd help you along the way. If you were down, he'd lift you up, and, he was fantastic.
Fantastic, is right.
Ulysses Kokkinos, who you both played with.
Yeah.
Tell us about him.
Oh, look, he was a great footballer. On his day, he would turn
the game.
Yeah, easy. On his day, he was, explosive. He could score a goal. He was unstoppable on his day.
Was he better to play with or better to play against?
Well, I didn't play much against him, because he was in Heidelberg before he came to South Melbourne, and I started in 74, and I think he was at Heidelberg before then.
He was, but then he did have another stint back at the start of the National League.
Oh,
but you may not have
Yeah.
played head to head against him, and then I think he was.
I can't remember playing against him.
Andy, the team that you were playing in those days, give us an idea of some of the characters.
I had an Iron Man behind me. I had the late Arthur McMillan. I was able to take players on without any fear, because I knew Arthur would be behind me, cleaning up my mistakes. He was fantastic to play alongside. I had, of course, you've got Gary Cole and Jamie Payton, the striking duo. They were feared back in those days, scoring lots of goals. You can go on and on. Theo Solomidis, Jimmy Campbell.
Tell me about Theo. Theo Solomidis doesn't always get the raps he deserves, because I can remember a great many games that Theo just worked hard and delivered.
He delivered in every game, every single game. He actually was very consistent. At training, he really put in. I mean, we all put in at training as well. And I remember Theo as well. And he was my roommate for 3 years, going interstate. I'll tell you a little story.
This is the right show for that.
We were about to go to bed, and he had one bed, I had the other bed. Of course.
What city were you in?
In Sydney.
Okay.
And there was a lamp just between us, and he's saying to me, Andy, I'm not feeling well. I go, yeah, so, what's the matter? Get up and get a Panadol or something. He goes, no, something's overtaken me. I'm changing. My whole body's changing. And I go, what the hell's he talking about? And he goes, can you put on the lamp for a sec and have a look? So as I put on the lamp, he had a monster mask on right next to the lamp, and I shit myself.
So that was your good roommate.
That was my good roommate. Yes,
Okay.
yes.
All right.
But then you had Kenny Taylor in the middle. You had the Bannon at the back, and Jimmy Tansey, and lots of.
Who was your goalkeeper in those days?
I started off with Peter Blasby, Jakubanovic, and Jeff Olver. There you go.
Hang on, you started with Blasby. Tell us a bit about Blasby, because he never talked when he was here. He had nothing to say.
Well, he didn't tell us any secrets.
No. He mentioned that he had one bad night or one bad day and copped 8 goals or something.
The 8-1.
Yeah. Do you remember any of those scores?
That was against Marconi, wasn't it?
That's right.
Yeah, I remember. They got taken off after 10 minutes.
After the 10.
What was the score then, though?
I think he tried to put some defenders on. Try to make a brick wall or something. But anyway, Peter. What can I say about Peter? I thought he was a fantastic goalkeeper. We had a few good scenes after being interstate and stuff like that. A lot of drinking on the aeroplane. And,
I can't believe you're allowed to drink on the
yeah,
airplane.
on the way back.
Okay.
This is after the game on the way back, and I can't recall how many times he had to go to panel beaters after driving home, stuff like that. So he was a funny character, Peter, and I had a lot of time for him.
Fantastic. Who was the goalkeeper in your day?
Early days was Michael Fond.
Okay. Yes.
John Kennedy was there.
John Kennedy.
He played for
Riley.
both clubs.
Jack Riley. Now tell us about Jack Riley. We've got Jack Riley coming in a few weeks.
Great man. Great,
Was he loud? Was he loud at the back? Did you always know where you were?
No, that was the one thing that he just talked all the way through the game, and he set the defence up
Constantly.
Yeah, because good goalkeepers have got to talk, and they. That's right. They talk.
But was he a whisperer, or you
No,
knew what was going on?
You could tell if you made a mistake, Jack would be right down your throat. So he was great. That
There was
way.
no guessing.
No way. And if you made a mistake, you always turned your head to see if he was gonna smack you in the back of the head or something. Because
Well, I had him as a coach in '76, and I got the biggest kick up my ass one night.
Did you deserve it?
Probably.
what, at a training
At
session?
a training session, and he reckons that's when I woke up and became a better player. So according to him,
Jack's going to take the credit. Isn't he?
I think yeah.
So let's find out. Georgie has been working on this special program for ages. He's got a bundle of questions. Georgie, I think you should get into it, delve into their past. Where did it all start for them?
Well, Chris, give us. We do this every week with our
Yeah.
guests. It's a bit unique this week, but we still want to know.
Yeah.
The actual, if you can remember, your first memory
not
of
that old.
football. No, your very first memory. What is it?
My first memory is Dad taking me to the South Melbourne training sessions when I was a youngster, and I was just kicking the ball around with the senior team then, the squad then, and then at the age of 12, 13, one of the managers, Mr. Bill Curran, saw me and invited me to the club.
It was Vince Bannon's father-in-law.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes. So invited me to the club and said, "Would you like to play? I'm in the juniors under 12s, 13s." And Dad said, "Okay, not a problem." So that was how I started at South. Never played soccer. I just used to go down because at the primary schools you played cricket and football. Soccer was,
Wog ball.
yeah, no good. You can't do that. Anyway.
But you did.
But yeah, you did. Yeah. I played 2 games for the Fitzroy Little League. Yeah. So I nearly got to the. They invited me to the Fitzroy club to play for their little leaguers, but Dad said no.
Clear there.
No, you come to play
So
soccer.
this story is sounding familiar. I think
Yeah.
we had the same last week.
That's right, exactly
You
right.
come to play soccer, and this is who we're going to play for. So, yeah, at 13 I started at South as a junior, and then at the age of 16 I played my first game with the senior side there. So,
What was that like? Who'd you play, remember?
Oh, no, I can't remember because John Marguerite was the coach and I was on the bench. So I sat on the bench for 8 games before being put on in the last game of the season in '74 to play my first senior game, which we won 2-1. I think we won. Yeah, so
You got a bonus?
not in those days, not the 16-year-olds, mate. I don't think we were getting paid. Actually, no, we did. I got 10 pounds, was it?
Did you ever tell Dad you got £10?
Yeah, because I used to write it in the book. I had a little blue book that used to write the game and how much I got for until I stopped playing. So
Very fantastic.
it was, that was my first game. Yeah.
Andy, your very, very first memory?
Well, not a very first memory, but I'll say a little story where I was at South Melbourne and I was 15 and a half, and they decided to set me on the bench for the seniors.
Who was the coach?
Manny Bozikas.
Yep.
So
Who was the coach of the team of the century?
Yes. Was he? Oh.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, so after we're playing Box Hill back in '72 down at Wembley Park, and I got my chance to come on with 20 minutes to go, and someone crossed it from the left hand side and hit me on top of the head and went straight in.
You mean you did not hit it?
No, it just hit my head and it's gone in the top corner. So first touch, first goal. And before I go into this, when I went to Heidelberg years ago, first touch, first goal as well with Heidelberg.
Did you mean that one?
I think I meant that one.
Okay, just checking.
And we won 7-1, and I created another 2 goals, and the papers were writing all about me.
Young
Young
Starlet.
Star and stuff like that.
Young Bozikas.
Young
coming.
Bozikas, and I found myself in the reserves the following week.
That's normally what happens. Yeah.
The Bozikas said, "Now you're baptised, go back in the reserves."
That's stock standard for Greek clubs, I think.
It was. We'll take a short break, and when we come back, more from Andy Bozikas and Chris Kalifatidis, a couple of guys who played in an awful lot of derbies for South Melbourne and Heidelberg at a time when it mattered most, when they were the original Melbourne derbies.
Welcome back to the Pioneers. You're with the two Georges on our Derby special, Alexander Alice Derby special, South Melbourne, Heidelberg, Fitzroy, whatever you want to call it, the Lakers, the Warriors. We're here and the battle lines are drawn, getting ready for Saturday night's big game.
And we've got Andy Bozikas one side,
Yeah, and you guys
Chris
on the other side.
Kalifatidis on the, us on the other side.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
you,
South
you
Melbourne
guys,
versus Heidelberg.
older side then.
Okay,
All right.
fine. Be like that.
We asked Andy, and he couldn't give us a straight-out answer about who's going to win on Saturday. Just before we forget, Chris, you're going on Saturday night. You'll be
Yes,
there.
yeah, well, I'll be there. Yeah.
You'll be on the other side of me as well.
Correct, I'll be there. But I'm leaning towards Heidelberg because South are not playing well. You know, like they've had a few, haven't had some good games early on in the season, and I think their confidence is down a little bit.
Yeah, but we've got a priest coming just before the game.
That's right. I think that's what we need.
Well, if it's the same priest, we know who's going to win.
No, it's
isn't it?
Yemuyori. It's
Ah.
St George.
It's his cousin.
His cousin.
Yeah, so, unfortunately, I hate to say that, but I hope South put a good showing in, and
Look, I'll tell you what. They started the season with a 9-goal absolute
yeah.
thrashing.
Yeah.
And then they ran into a team called Oakley, and Peter Salakis said to us when we had him in the chair here, he had said to the boys, they're going to come here thinking all they've got to do is run onto the paddock and they're going to win. Yeah? And they got him. And the way he described it, South Melbourne had the run of the play in the first half, couldn't score.
That's right.
And in the second half, they changed it around and they made a couple of moves, and they paid off, which was just goes to show you, a winning sequence, as you said, can start and can stop with next to nothing. You remember you guys were talking during the break about a game between was it Heidelberg and Ringwood?
No, South Melbourne.
South Melbourne.
73.
1973, and it was played at Ringwood.
Andrew was playing for South Melbourne then, and I wasn't there, but...
and the score was?
7 each.
7?
7-all.
And I think
14-goal thriller.
we had a young.
So did you bother having goalkeepers, or did you just?
Well, we had a
Defend the goalies.
young goalkeeper, manager Vogler. I thought the world of him, but they finished him off. But saying that, Nick Van Egmond was
A great goalkeeper.
and he is the other one that copped the 7 goals on the other side.
A living legend of Wilhelmina Football Club.
Exactly.
So explain, Andy. Was it a case of it was a night out for the strikers? Were you hitting the ball and it was going pure straight into the net?
Well, you know that was attacking football at its best. You know what I mean? And I like attacking football. I mean, you know, when you look at packing the defences and stuff like that, and it's been unattractive. You know, people would like to see goals, and that's why they come to the game. And you know, so but you're not to say you can't say that the coaches will allow that and stuff like that. They've got to protect their goalkeeper, the defences and stuff like that.
Their jobs.
Yeah, the jobs as well. Yeah, but you know.
You're a defender. Would you like closing these guys down quickly?
Oh, love it. I used to pick up every best defender or
Best attacker.
best attacker in the opposite team
So that was your mission. That
That's
was your
right.
job every week.
every week,
So you used to pick me up.
all the time. Yeah, no, yeah. So every.
Did you
forward,
do any extra homework on them? Because there was no film basically
No.
in those days. So
No.
how did you find out how to clean up Bozikas?
Oh well, you know, like you know a little bit about forwards, and you know
Right.
that they've only got one foot sometimes. They can't kick with the left, and they'll
Okay.
always go on the right. So I played with Andrew a couple. He skinned me a couple of times, but there wasn't a time where.
Katsanis does that a couple of times, skinned me a couple of times, but we'll get it back. We'll get it back. It's all
It's
right.
tight and narrow in the hallway too when I do that. So we talked about earlier, Chris, just a little bit off the topic, but while you're at South, you played against an overseas gentleman,
Yes,
superstar Charlie George.
Charlie George.
Did you get
yeah.
to mark him? Was
I
that
did- I
was that
did.
your job?
Did you
Yeah, that-
try and mark him, or did you mark him?
No, I thought I did a good job until he scored the winner.
No.
So South lost 3-2 that
We
day
lost
to St
3-2.
George. Yeah.
Against
Was
St
it St
George.
George? Yeah.
Yeah.
At
but-
Barton Park or here?
no, at
Here.
Middle Park.
Yeah,
At Middle
and
Park, okay.
Yeah.
the great Malcolm McDonald was playing as a guest for us. So it was a capacity crowd, and 3-2, great game, and
What was he like in the dressing room?
Malcolm.
Yeah.
Everyone was just in awe of him. You know, like he was a huge man too. You know.
Super Mac, as he was
Yeah,
known.
Super Mac.
Super Mac.
But a gentleman.
Yep.
You know, like he never, raised his voice or anything like that. He was just a gentleman and just continually tried to, pick you up and, but no, great professional.
And Charlie Beaches, eh?
Yeah, he was the only one. There was another one, Dixie Deans from,
Adelaide City.
yeah, he played for Adelaide City. Yeah, he was,
He could play.
he could play and he was a great goal scorer, but he didn't score against me. We drew the game near
Special notch on your belt.
That's it. But it's one that I won't forget.
Going back to the derbies then.
Can I touch up on Malcolm? Just
Yeah, of course. Absolutely.
I had the honour to take him out to a Greek nightclub.
Oh dear.
And you know how long he lasted? 5 minutes.
Didn't like the bouzouki.
Didn't like the loud music because he was a professional and that was a no-no, so we had to leave after 5
See,
minutes.
isn't that amazing? He was prepared to sacrifice. For him, it wasn't about going out and have fun. Whatever worked for him, he would do. Whatever didn't work or didn't fit in, he would step out.
Either that or he didn't like Greek music.
Wonderful.
Possibly. or the Uzo got him early on.
Chris, just going back to the strikers,
Yeah.
back to the derby thing. In that 10, 12-year period you're at South Melbourne,
Yeah.
now, you left and came back, yeah?
Yes,
You went
that's
off
right.
to Northcote,
Yeah.
had a bit of time at Halasakoa, the State League boys, and then
Correct.
still come back and played some NSL with South Melbourne.
84, yep.
But in that period, we won't count Andy because he's in here and we don't you or him, but who was the toughest Alexander opponent that you had to mark in that time?
Oh, there was a few, but like all the Gillen, Georgie Gillen.
All elbows.
Oh, gee, he was.
Gave you plenty, eh?
You knew you were in a game with him. because he was really, really tough.
Did you wear a mouth guard?
No, I should have actually. No, we didn't have mouth guards back in those days.
But if you're in hindsight against George Gillen, you might have now.
Yeah, and we didn't have shin guards back in those days either. You know.
Wow.
Yeah,
You guys were brave.
we were gladiators, mate.
And Andy,
I've seen that program.
the other way around, hardest defender, not including Chris, that you played against in derbies. Who else kicked you from here to there?
In derbies,
Yeah.
Alan Davidson.
He could kick.
Davo didn't
Yeah.
kick you, did he?
No, I'm not saying he was a good defender. You know what I mean?
Oh, right.
He actually read the game, and he, didn't allow you to go past him and stuff like that. Although I did go past him.
You said that once or twice.
and
So who was the toughest one that you ever ran into? The toughest defender?
Saying this and looking back now, Sok Nikolaidis, I think, did a really. We're going to derbies now, or just
No, anyway.
In general.
well, Cole Curran was probably the toughest.
The toughest.
Yeah,
He gave you nothing.
Yeah, he gave
Former
me nothing.
Socceroo.
Yeah, former Socceroo. He was always didn't give you an inch and tough as nails, and also went forward, and you had to do a lot of work.
So a lot of two-way running, eh?
Two-way running, try and chase it. That took a lot out of me.
That shouldn't be allowed for wingers.
That's terrible. Did you like this two-way running, or did you
No.
have a certain part of the ground you didn't travel past?
No, it was just been where I played because I was called the utility player down
Oh.
south. Yeah, so,
Capital U.
Yeah, left back, right back, centre half, sweeper. The only position goalkeeper I didn't play, but I played every other. So the full-backs obviously did a bit more work than the centre halves. But
You played the old W formation, yeah?
Yes, we did. But later on in the 80s, we were playing the back four. With,
back four?
Yeah.
Progress.
Progress, yeah.
Now tell us, Chris, you made your Socceroo. Is it one cap you had?
Yes, the one cap.
All right, so debut.
78.
78 against Greece at Olympic Park.
Correct, yeah.
Probably the day that George Christopoulos, Butch Kokoska all made their debuts.
That's right, there was a few new...
New faces.
Fantastic, was that?
Yeah,
And Australia lost 2-1.
Yeah, we gave them a good tough game. Gary scored, I think we scored first too, 1-0. But they got on top of us a little bit.
And we conceded a penalty, right, for the 2-1. who gave that penalty away, Chris?
I wonder who gave that penalty away. Yeah, so it wasn't a penalty.
Oh, okay.
To this day, the Greek forward
Yeah.
fell in front of me.
So he dived.
He died.
Yep.
Correct.
Yep.
And the referee, because I thought,
International
Yeah,
guest.
yeah,
Because there was more Greeks in the crowd than...
so unfortunately they scored the penalty and we lost 2-1.
And you never played for Australia again.
No, I
So
didn't.
someone hasn't forgiven you.
No, that's right. they did see me after the game talking to the Greek squad there. So
It has been mentioned. We want to know the truth.
Who was your goalkeeper in that game?
Peter Lormetz, great
Oh,
keeper.
the great
Rod
Lomets.
Stewart's brother.
Yeah. Great keeper. He was, I remember
Yeah.
Lomets.
Yeah, he was a spitting image of Rod
Stewart. Had
Spitting
the hair.
image.
Handsome boy.
Handsome boy, and he could pull a girl or two too.
I don't know anything about that, but it's very encouraging to hear that there were some other goalkeepers who had no problems. That's fantastic. Andy, did you enjoy scoring against people of the calibre of Lomets?
I did actually. I enjoyed scoring every time the ball hit the net and I scored. It was fantastic, but especially against
Lomets.
Lormetz and South Melbourne.
It's going to be a long program with Bozikas wearing this. If you're not in the studio, I can tell you, they're both wearing smiles. But any time Bozikas talks about scoring a goal, the smile goes from ear to ear. Katsanis.
And that's
Is
so
that-
it- so
is that
it
the
should.
sort of- is that
That's
the
how
sort
I
of smile?
remember it.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I remember when those goals went in. That's the smile I remember.
You talked earlier about remembering these two playing.
Correct.
As a young man, you actually modelled some of your play
That's right.
on Bozikas. Just explain what you were trying to do in those days.
You're
You're paying
that's right.
homage, huh?
Yeah. Now, to be fair, I like to imitate the guys that I used to watch.
Yeah.
And in the
That you
backyard, you
revere.
do that. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. So I could do the Gary Cole run. I could do the Jamie Payton celebration.
Yeah.
The Jimmy Campbell with the socks down. I could mimic that run. But one of the good things out of all that mimicking is that I took ball control very seriously as a young kid, and I wanted to learn and be better at it as I was playing and learning to play. And one of those things in our long backyard was the ability to run with the ball and not run into things. So after having seen Andy run with the ball live in a game, I mimicked that, and I used that as a training run for myself. So while copying Andy's ability to run and glide, and I say glide, I can still picture him playing and moving, and it just effortlessly, even with the slalom and the move from side to side, dropping the shoulder, classic winger stuff. But the ball was glued to either of his feet.
Wow.
And I remember that clearly, like it was yesterday. And I needed to be that good. For me, I wanted to be like him and be able to do that. And I worked on it, and I got it right. Well, I believe I got it right. Maybe not as good as him.
At your backyard.
In the backyard, and then you take it.
How'd you go on the ground?
Well, anyone will tell you, I never passed it, just like you. So I think I got it right. But anyone.
So where did you learn? Where did you learn to do that ball control, Andy?
Just going out on my own, I suppose. Just going out on my own and practicing every night and juggling the ball and running through cones in and out, and that's where I got all my training on my own a lot, and also training with the best players going around as well.
So who was your inspiration when you first started?
When I first started, well, funny you should. I didn't have any inspiration, but there was a park, Clifton Hill Park, where the soccer players of the Premier League used to go. Well, the first division back then in Victoria used to go and have a kick on a Sunday morning, and there was players. And I was a 12-year-old with Athos and we were just playing against grown men, and that actually really helped us. Even John Margaritis used to come down, the calibre of those players, and coming down kicking the ball, and we actually got the inspiration from those guys, and we wanted to play at that level back then. And when I used to go and watch a game at Olympic Park or Middle Park or whatever, I used to go home crying because I wanted to be there. You know what I mean? That's how bad I wanted to be there.
It tells you something, doesn't it? He was crying because he wanted it that much, and that tells me, what separates those that nearly get there and those that get there and stay there.
I remember crying, especially when Alexander would lose. So I guess they have that too. Although I'm starting to grow out of it as I get older.
There are some fantastic squads and lineups, and I look at Fitzroy United, Alexander, and I look at Chris Kalifatidis, Vince Bannon, Nick Rakovalis, Mike Sturgeanu, Alex Nitsopoulos, and Pat Bannon, Andy Bozikas. You remember any of these in your team? Yeah. Georgie Gillen, Ian Gibson, Frank Donikian, and your coach was Xanthopoulos. And interestingly, there were 2 goals by Bozikas, and 1 goal by Bozikas and 2 by Donikian. And you played, I think it was Ringwood City, Wilhelmina?
Yes.
Doesn't mention the mascot in there, does it?
No.
That's just
Actually, you're right. The mascot here, it says young George Katsanis.
No, that's all right. What I wanted to do is mention that we've kept the boys guessing. I haven't told them before the show, but any statos out there, and there are a few, I'm happy to be proved wrong, but I think they played 10 league games against each other over the years in the old state league and the NSL, and they're both interested to know what the head-to-head. I've asked them what they thought the head-to-head was. We both will agree that we think Andy will be ahead.
Yes.
Just. I can tell you head-to-head in the 10 league games.
Yes.
Andy won 6 and Chris won 2 when there were 2 draws. So it was very lopsided. The Heidelberg way.
Was that Greek priest?
Yeah, the Greek priest that tell us for...
Well, there's a secret to our Heidelberg.
I want to know from Chris, what was his most remarkable, or the game, most memorable game?
For me,
yeah,
was the unofficial Australia Cup.
The unofficial Australia Cup.
1976?
76. There were 2 conferences.
Yep.
South won 1 and St George won the Sydney. So we used to play the
It was a playoff for the best.
Best team in Australia.
So the two best state league teams.
That's right.
Yeah,
And this was before the 77
NSL.
So yeah, we were at Olympic Park. The first game we had to play home and away. So the first game we drew in Sydney 1-1. So they came to Middle Park. So we was locked in at 1-1 again.
Yep.
With about a minute to go. The late Jimmy Mackay sends over a corner. Arthur and I have gone up because it was last minute, thinking Arthur Xanthopoulos, the other brilliant centre half at South. Arthur's about 5 metres in front of me, and I've yelled out, "Leave it, Arthur." Not supposed to say leave it, but he heard me and he got out of the way, and I volleyed from the 18-yard box.
Nailed it.
Nailed it. And all you heard was a boom, and it's gone flying into the top corner. Wow. That was it. All the supporters from South went nuts. They come onto the field. They were, going, "Oh, great, great, great."
Being carried off.
Nearly carried off.
Yeah.
But before they went, I had a bunch of...
Notes.
No, not notes. I wish I was. Bloody pumpkin seeds and lollies.
Pasta tempo.
Yeah, all in my hands. What do I do with it? They were all so happy. They just gave me all this unbelievable. And then after the game, yes, I was carried off.
Very good. And we've got photos of that, which I will publish online later on this evening for those who are interested.
What about Andy? Most
Well,
memorable?
I was lucky enough to play well in the 1980 grand final. I think all the supporters remember that game, and that's how they remember me by that game alone. Not only but we had a great performance. I think Sydney City, that was the first time in about 3 or 4 years they lost 4-0 in
Yeah, great sides.
Yeah.
And you turned it on, huh?
yeah, we actually played really, really good soccer. And I think
4-0 win over the Sydney City.
4-0 win, but that's not indication that we dominate, because Sydney City, I think, played a good game as well. So it was good. It was a really grand football.
But you took your chances.
Well, yes, we had a few more chances, but we actually took those on the day. We took the chances that.
And two of our former guests, Gary Cole and Jamie Payton, scored all 4 of those goals on the day. This young fella had a great day, and if you get a chance to watch that game in its entirety, it's well worth it.
It's available too, isn't it?
It is available. Pretty sure it's on YouTube, and the Heidelberg boys have got that one on their YouTube channel.
Now, we've got some interesting things happening at FNR over the next month or so. You've got an NSL program starting soon, haven't you?
Here we have, in about 3 weeks' time on a Sunday after
And you're going
review show.
to reach in and use the services of someone who's been around for a long, long time and features in some of the calls we've been listening to.
Yeah, we're going to tap into the wonderful world of Greg Blake.
So Blakey's coming back to FNR.
Blakey's coming back to FNR to host the show.
Fantastic.
So we're looking forward to that, and we'll have hopefully confirmed in the next couple of days some special guests, players and administrators. It will be different to the Pioneers, right? So I think the little secret that I'll give out is the 1997-98 grand final, Carlton v South Melbourne. We may have people from that,
Fantastic.
including Blakey, who was there and called the game himself. So we're looking forward to that. Next week, before I forget, because we always forget, we'll have Maltese international, former Green Gully star and Sirianos star, and a guy who starred against England at Wembley in the early 70s, a young man by the name of Willie Vassallo, will be in the studio.
Do any of the boys remember Willie?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Great player.
Yeah.
What do you remember?
Oh, he was a midfielder.
That's right.
And
Great.
it was a
Vision.
workhorse. Just ran and ran.
No.
So great engine.
Yeah.
Hey,
And also great endeavour.
Yes.
Fantastic stuff.
yeah, so
Boys, it's been fantastic, and we've got a derby coming up Saturday. Before we let you go, I want you to give us a prediction, both of you, one prediction each.
I'm going draw.
That's quick. Now he's backing for his
that was
friends.
Chris, by the way.
Chris Kalifatidis says Isopalia means draw. Andy?
3-1 yellow and black.
Okay.
Wow.
George, you got a prediction?
1-0 to Heidelberg, because that's the only thing they can do at the moment this year is win 1-0. So I'm going to stick with what's tried and tested.
Well, on that note, I'm going to pick South Melbourne to win by the 1 goal.
Oh.
Any score by 1 goal.
Just the 1 goal.
All right.
So there you go.
We'll be punching on at 9:30 on Saturday night.
If you've been listening, this has been a very special edition of The Pioneers, which featured a couple of great characters and great footballers, Andy Bozikas and Chris Kalifatidis. One South Melbourne man, actually both were South Melbourne men.
Yes.
But Andy, prides himself, in fact he's wearing the Heidelberg colours.
Of course he is.
Okay. And as George Donikian mentioned, next week another special guest, similar quality.
Absolutely. Good night, George. Good night, boys. Thank you.
Good night. Thank
Yes,
you.
yes.
Thank you.
See you, Georges. Very good.
Well done, boys.
Oh,
Excellent.
thank you, legendary one.
Well done, Athos. Sorry, mate.
Athos Sirianos,
Yeah, Athos, yeah, Greek God.
Athos,
Yeah, Greek God.
super Greek God.
Yeah.
FNR, Football Nation Radio.
Sirianos, no call! Score!
Salamini for Cole. Cole on the run. Shoots. 2-0.
Lazanovsky with the free kick. Launches a rocket! Trimboli, what vision! Blasts. Yes, that's it!
Miljevic.
Here's Bozanic. They haven't! They might have won it!
The Pioneers with George Donikian and George Kotsanis on FNR, Football Nation Radio.